Hello, hello, and welcome. Thanks for joining. I am on a streak like none other. I have gone live daily for a week now. So I don't know who it is that is always joining for like 10 seconds and then leaving. I'm sorry it's not very interesting. I've been trying to make it a little bit more interesting, somewhat interactive. Anyway, maybe if somebody has a comment, you can say something about what you might want. Maybe make a request. Schetky. Yeah, if you look at my thumbnail, I actually found a photo of Schetky in this historical book about a music hall in Edinburgh, Scotland. It's the St. Cecilia's music center, I think. And it seems to have a fairly long history as of now. And Schetky features prominently throughout the middle of the book. He actually is mentioned in the table of contents. That's how prominent of a figure he was. I would like to go over here to the book. I really wish I could share my screen so you could see. Or, okay, yeah, I just need to go do my homework and get a streaming software kit and make sure how to use it, because I really don't know how to use it. So I'm going to search Schetky in my PDF viewer, and Schetky is found on 30 pages. And I've already looked through it, so I know that not every time Schetky is mentioned, it's the cellist. His son, who was a well-known marine painter and worked directly for George, King George. I don't remember the number, but that was the late 1700s, early 1800s. So whoever knows history really well. So on page 59, it's talking about the players and singers, where a number of well-known professionals of that time, this is February 1779, were gathered together for a benefit concert for Schetky. And let's see. Then it goes on that Schetky has a biographical entry. And it definitely is the biographical entry for Schetky, because this is how they did it anywhere from 100 to 200 years ago. And I think in some cases they still do this, but it's all in caps. The first letter is in big caps, and all the other remaining letters are in lower caps, smaller caps, shorter caps. And it talks a little about them meeting Robert Burns, the famous poet, and Schetky being acquainted with him. So that's quite interesting. I think this is another book that you can look at and think, "Ooh, this is a good source." I mean, because there's so much little information about the people that I'm talking about. There's so much that doesn't make sense. There's so little information about the people I'm interested in. So here's a little tidbit. This is a journalist named Thompson talking about talking about the people in the area, and he says that Mr. Schetky from Germany is the principal violoncellist and a fine concerto player. So this has to do with the main players in the St. Cecilia Center. So here is another little duet. This is number 6 by Schetky. Let's look at the Allegretto. For my money, these are all very pleasing duets. They're very well constructed. There is nothing wrong with these, and I'm not sure why they have been totally neglected. I think the excuse that there's not enough time to play all the music is not a valid one, because there are so many people playing what I think are not really that great as far as quality of music or pleasingness. You know, you could easily substitute some of those Suzuki pieces, or in other method books. You could easily substitute this stuff if you're so worried about time. This is fantastic music. I mean, you need to have facility to be able to play it. Like, I need to work on this, for example. Being able to get across 4 strings and play it in tune. Well, I haven't warmed up yet today, so everything is a little bit funky. I've been noticing my bow has changed slightly. It is a little bit better. I have practiced since mentioning in that video I actually edited about I need to talk to you all about my bow or something like that. And I have been working on it a little bit here and there, and making sure that I'm playing with a much straighter and consistently, let's see, that's not the right way to say it, on a consistent trajectory. So the trajectory for the A string is here. Get a little bit more aligned with the camera, and I'm going to give a little better view. Interesting. Now, let's continue. There's a measure rest after this lovely skipping around. You know, that's really interesting. You have to not have a foggy brain. It just needs to be thought out before you get to the fast section again. Don't be sluggish. Right. Now, here's the second cello part, which honestly, as he says in the preface of these 12 duets, is really good practice for the beginning level. Late beginning, obviously, not right away beginning. Why not? You can easily teach a beginner who's gotten control over bowing and over reading accidentals and string crossings that are executed well. You can ask them to start with a pizzicato, which is always a good practice if you're focusing just on the left hand. You know, 4. Practice the finger numbers. 4, open. 1, 3, 4. Practice the note names. C, D, E, F sharp, G. Or if you're snobbish about saying the letter names, which are exactly the same as saying do, re, mi, you can say in the do, re, mi. Do, re, mi, fa, or fis. I said German, I guess. Fa. So, by the way, people, there's no reason to be snobbish about saying the letter names, because I have a serious question to ask you. What's so special about saying do, re, mi versus A, B, C? Are there not only 7 in the do, re, mi musical alphabet? Yeah. It is literally just speaking a different language. I guess it goes with the territory. I don't understand why. No, please don't put any links in there. Make a nice comment. Say hi instead. So here's the entire Allegretto second cello. Okay, now here is really great practice for string crossings quick string crossings. And I think starting up bow makes a lot of sense. I'm looking at my bow because I just realized in making all the videos, I have unconsciously been looking at myself as I make the videos or live stream, and I'm if I look at my bow, it straightens out almost immediately. So that's really nice cadence into the dominant, which has been tonicized, of course. One of these days I will make a second cello part specifically just for live streaming. That way I can actually play duets with as I live stream. Which means I really do. I mean it. It's not just a thought. I really mean it. I need to figure out the streaming software and see if I can make something happen, make something work. So I need to practice this, so I'm going to practice just a little bit of the Allegro ma non troppo from the first movement. There's a bit of a tricky fingering because it's so fast. It goes like this. Whenever you have to go straight across, that is tricky. But I would point out that I practiced diligently. I practiced this section for fingering. That was funny. Okay. And Johann Georg Christoph Schetky. It's funny because before the author David Harris writes about Johann Schetky's bio, writes in his bio, there's a very short introductory sentence or paragraph, and it says, Herr Schetky, has no niche in the temple of fame as arranged in Grove's Dictionary of Musicians, and any details of his life which exist are much scattered through out of the way sources. Yeah, and that's true. There is, I will say, however, that I did look at Grove's dictionary from the late 1800s, which is now a public domain source. And while there's not all that much information, it's far more than most of the other musicians that I've been looking into. Let's see. It's hard to say that there's half a page, but if you're familiar with Grove's dictionary, then you'll understand much better what I'm talking about. It's, the information is really packed into one page. So it's almost half a page. Probably 1/3, in between 1/3 and half, I guess, if I were generous. But I think for a musician that almost nobody knows today, that's quite a lot. But it is interesting. Groves, they of course have prejudices or just maybe unknowns when they're doing their own research, because there's so many entries for that dictionary. It's even then, at that time, I think the dictionary was 6 or 7 volumes at something like 600 pages each. So I mean, they're dealing with an enormous amount of information. Could they be exhaustive? I guess if they chose to be. They certainly were that way with the famous people like Bach and Mozart and Schumann and Schubert. I mean, there are literally dozens and dozens of pages written on those guys in Groves. So, yeah, they could do whatever they want. They just chose not to, probably. All right. Now, if I go back to St. Cecilia Hall, now why did it go back? Oh, no, here it is. There was one little section. I didn't write it down, but it was seemingly quite interesting to me. When I first wrote it, when I first read it. Here's an interesting, I think this was it right here. It was about Scottish tunes. So now Harris says on page 69, we may now trace Schetky here and there through old Edinburgh. In the first place, we find him reported by Burns to have been drinking with him and to have composed a tune for one of his songs. The allusion occurs in a postscript to a Clarinda letter dated Thursday morning, 24th January, 1788, and runs thus. This is Schetky writing. Evening, 9 o'clock. I am here absolutely unfit to finish my letter, pretty hearty after a bowl, which has been constantly plied since dinner till this moment. I have been with Mr. Schetky. Oh, sorry. Mr. Burns is writing. I have been with Mr. Schetky, the musician, and he has said it finely. I have no distinct ideas of anything, but that I have drunk your health twice tonight, and that you are all my soul holds dear to this world. The it of which Schetky was the musical father was that lovely song Burns, Clarinda, mistress of my soul, than which surely no sadder lament was ever penned. And this is Robert Burns's poem. Clarinda, mistress of my soul, the measured time is run. The wretch beneath the dreary pole, so marks this latest sun. We part, but by those precious drops that fill thy lovely eyes. No other light shall guide my steps till thy bright beams arise. She, the fair sun of all her sex, has blessed my glorious day, and shall a glimmering planet fix my worship to its ray. Okay, very obviously, if you speak Scottish, it works better. Or if you speak with a Scottish accent. She, the fair sun of all her sex, has blessed my glorious day. That's my best attempt at a Scottish accent. Anyway, it's stuff like that that really intrigues me. I love it. I love reading that stuff. All right, here is the last thing that I will do in Schetky duets. This is the Allegretto non troppo, just the middle section, the B section rather. And so on and so forth. Every time I play these duets, I always think, man, I really, really want to have my good bow back. I really want to play these and record them and do a good job. I really enjoy them. They are very fine little pieces of music. Very fine little pieces. So, actually, let's see. I might have misspoke because I want to play one little bit from the 10th duet. It's charming, this Allegro, very charming and playful. So I really enjoy this sort of thing. It seems to me that there are other composers that write very similarly. I can't help but compare this to Haydn. I somehow feel Haydn very strongly, like they were known to each other, or one was imitating or at least trying to write music in that style. I have no idea, but it's just a thought. So duet number 10, it just has this lovely playful quality to it. once I practice this and get it up to a respectable production, it's going to be a really nice representative piece. You know, the early ones are nice. They're very, very nice. But the later ones, like 9, 10, 11, 12, the last four, I really represent a higher standard, higher quality of writing. And here is no exception. It's just really a nice piece of writing. Right? Been so long since I played on a regular basis like this. My fingers don't spread out enough the right way. Now, what he does here at the cadence is really clever, because he I don't think it's really a typical Baroque or classical approach. I mean, yes, you've got the progression there that's typical, but I think the way he's doing it, at least for a cello from a cello standpoint. I think that's not so typical. Oh, anyway, I will leave you with that, and there is one other little bit right here. So, Schetky's Hof was Hogg's Tavern, where he constituted the Boar Club, each boar contributing a halfpenny to the pig, and Mr. Aldridge, a brother musician, being perpetual grand grunter of the sty. Burns got Schetky to compose an air to his Clorinda, mistress of my soul. He is represented in the picture with his instrument, the violoncello, on which he excelled in concertos. So he really took to his adopted home country of Scotland and his town, Edinburgh, and he embedded himself in the society. He's a very intriguing character to me. So I'm very happy that I decided to do the next episode of the podcast, episode 38, on Schetky. So look forward to that. I'm going to read most of the preface from his 12 duets, and I'm going to include a smattering of collected biographical information on from various books, starting with the violoncello and its history, which is unfortunately kind of a, now that I'm reading other things, kind of a I think not a very fair representation of who he was based on what other things I'm reading. Thank you very much for joining. Remember to say hi and give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate if you would do that. Bye for now.